The first time I heard my own voice tell my sister to trust her son again, I was standing at my kitchen counter with one hand in a sack of rice. Denise should trust Evan again, my voice said from the little speaker on my phone. Those were my words. They were not my meaning. Why had Evan cut away my condition? And whose words had he changed besides mine? I stopped the preview, saved the copy Leah had sent me, and called Denise before I called anyone else. She answered on the fourth ring. "If this is about Saturday," she said, "I'm not coming." "It is about Saturday, but I'm not calling to change your mind." There was a pause. Denise had become careful with pauses during the previous year. She no longer rushed to fill them for other people. "What happened?" she asked. I told her exactly what I had heard. Then I played the short excerpt for her. "That sounds like you," she said. "It is me, but this is what I actually sent." I opened my original message and played the relevant part. "If Evan answers Denise directly about the apology he claims she rejected, then I believe Denise should trust Evan again. Until then, I will not ask her to." The preview contained only 5 of those words. Denise should trust Evan again. Denise let out a breath that sounded more tired than surprised. "So that's what this is for," she said. Until then, I had thought Evan was making a family program about my parents' wedding anniversary and the life that came after it. Leah, our cousin, had called it an audio scrapbook. Evan had called it something warm for a difficult year. Denise called it an answer he had built because he did not want to give his own. "What did you ask him to answer?" I said. "The same thing I've asked since January. I want him to admit he told everyone I rejected an apology he never gave." I sat down at the kitchen table. The rice sack stayed open on the counter. Months earlier, Evan had missed Denise's 60th birthday dinner. That alone would not have divided them. He had missed dinners before. The trouble began when he told Marcus and 2 cousins that he had apologized, and Denise had refused even to hear him. The story traveled because it sounded complete. A son had failed, a son had humbled himself, and a mother had chosen bitterness. When Denise learned what he had said, she sent him one plain message. "Tell me what you apologized for," she wrote. "Tell me when you sent it. If I missed it, send it again." He never did. Instead, he began asking relatives for voice messages about family love, old mistakes, and what ought to matter in the end. "Did you tell him you weren't going Saturday?" I asked. "Twice. He keeps saying I'll understand when I hear it." "I won't speak for you. Ruth, you always end up speaking for somebody." She did not say it cruelly. That made it land harder. I was 64 then. I had spent 31 years at the Fairhaven Public Library and nearly half as many volunteering one evening a week at our community radio station. At the library, people brought me tangled questions and expected me to find the clean sentence inside them. At the station, nervous guests relaxed when I told them we could pause and begin again. My family had turned that patience into a job I had never applied for. If Marcus sounded sharp, I explained that he was worried. If Denise went quiet, I explained that she needed time. If Evan talked too fast, I explained the fear underneath his confidence. I thought I was keeping people from hurting one another. Sometimes I was only making it easier for them not to speak. "I'll correct my own words," I told Denise. "That is all I can promise." That would be enough. After we hung up, I called Leah. She had sent me the preview because I had pronounced our grandmother's maiden name in my message, and Leah wanted to make sure she had heard it correctly. She was 41, a patient woman with a quick laugh, and the only person besides Evan assembling the program. She did not think she had joined a family argument. She thought she had agreed to arrange memories and run a speaker. "Did I say the name right?" she asked when she answered. "You did. I need you to hear something else." I played the preview first. Then I played my complete passage. Leah did not answer immediately. "Play them again," she said. I did. The words in the short one are yours, she said. Yes. But the condition is gone. And the sentence after it. She asked me to play the complete passage a third time. When it ended, I asked her a question I had learned to ask guests at the radio station when they heard themselves in a rough interview. What did you hear me mean? Leah said, that you might trust him later if he answers Denise now. And the preview? That you think she should already trust him. Leah heard the same 5 words I heard, and she heard the missing condition around them. Nothing more complicated was needed. But proof did not make her choice for her. Ruth, I only have the pieces Evan sent me, she said. I didn't cut your original. I know. Saturday is 4 days away. 20 people changed plans for this. I know that too. If this is one bad cut, I can put your whole message back. I don't want my whole message in it now. Her voice tightened. Are you asking me to cancel the program? I'm asking you not to use my voice. What you do with the rest has to be your decision. I need more than one mistake before I ruin Evan's night. I could have told her that playing it might ruin Denise's year. I could have demanded that Leah prove she cared about us. Those would have been ways of putting my decision into her mouth, which was the very thing I was objecting to. So I said, then ask what the program means before you press play. She promised nothing. Before we ended the call, she said she still expected to run the playback Saturday. 4 days remained before the gathering. Leah understood what the short version did, but she still expected to be the person who pressed play. I spent that afternoon learning how differently the project had been described. I did not ask anyone to send me a recording. I did not ask anyone to join my side. I called Marcus first because he had mentioned his contribution at the grocery store the week before. Evan said it was supposed to be funny, Marcus told me. Old family stories, Dad backing the boat trailer into the hedge, Mom putting salt instead of sugar in that birthday cake. Did he say it was for Denise? No, why would it be for Denise? I asked whether he had heard his part in the preview. Not yet. Leah said she was still cleaning it up. Ask her for your part before Saturday. Ruth, what's going on? I told him my words had been shortened in a way that changed my meaning. I did not play either version. They were mine, not a touring exhibit. Marcus groaned softly. Can we have one family event without turning it into a hearing? That's what I'm trying to find out. You know what I meant. I do. But I'm trying to stop answering for people. He laughed once, without humor. That might be our first quiet Christmas. My next call was to our cousin Joan. Evan had told her something entirely different. According to Joan, Denise had asked for the program because she wanted to remember what held the family together. She said that? I asked. Evan said she did. Did you hear it from Denise? No. She isn't coming Saturday. Joan went silent. She had recorded a memory about Denise driving through a snowstorm when Joan's furnace failed. Joan thought she was thanking Denise. Now she wondered whether her gratitude would be used to tell Denise what she owed her son. I need to call her, Joan said. Joan did not ask me what Denise wanted. She called Denise herself. By 5 o'clock, Evan knew I had spoken to Marcus. He called while I was sitting in my car outside the pharmacy. His name lit the dashboard, and for a moment I considered letting it ring. Then I answered because silence could be edited too, especially in a family. Why are you frightening people? He asked. He did not say hello. I told Marcus to listen to his own contribution. You told him I manipulated you. I told him what happened to my message. It's editing, Aunt Ruth. You used to work in radio. You know you cut for time. I know the difference between making a sentence shorter and making it mean the opposite. It does not mean the opposite. You said Mom should trust me. After you answered her directly. That part was about a private argument nobody else understands. Then my sentence about trust belongs to that private argument too. I heard him moving, a cabinet shutting, water running. Evan always did chores when he wanted a conversation to sound casual. "This is a gift," he said. "Everybody contributed because they're tired of watching Mom punish me." Joan thought Denise requested it. The water stopped. Joan misunderstood. Marcus thought it was comedy. Marcus never listens. Leah thought it was an anniversary scrapbook. It is all of those things. There are answers that widen a truth and answers that blur it until no one can find the edge. Evan had always been good at the second kind. "Remove my voice," I said. "You're serious?" "Yes." "Do you understand how that will look?" "It will look like I withdrew my message. It will look like you chose Mom over me. I am choosing the meaning of my own words." He called that cold. He called it dramatic. He said the family was finally ready to heal, and Denise was holding everyone hostage to a technicality. I waited until he finished. My answer is still no. When the call ended, I sent Leah one line in writing. "I do not give permission for my message or any excerpt from it to be played Saturday." Then I drove home. The next morning, Leah called and asked me to stop contacting contributors until she finished the draft. "Evan says people are withdrawing because you made them think he forged their voices." I have never used that word. "He says you are treating ordinary editing like fraud." What do you think happened to my meaning? "I think he cut too much." Would you put it back? Yes. Would you play it after I asked you not to? Another pause. "No," she said, "not yours." "Then we agree about my message." "But not about canceling everyone else's." "I have not asked you to cancel it." She sounded frustrated by that. A demand would have allowed her to refuse me and return to work. Instead, I was leaving her with the part that belonged to her. I sent her my complete message one more time, along with the question I had asked on our call. "What did you hear me mean?" Then I stopped. That afternoon, Marcus came to my porch with 2 paper cups of coffee. He held his phone as if it had become an object he did not trust. "Leah sent my preview," he said. We sat in the 2 metal chairs near the steps. Marcus had recorded his message while walking his dog, so the complete version included wind and the soft clink of tags. He played it for me. "Maybe someday we can laugh about it," his recorded voice said, "but not before Evan answers her. You cannot skip the hard sentence and call the silence peace." Then he played the excerpt Leah had received from Evan. "Someday we can laugh about it." Marcus stared across my yard. "I meant that as a warning," he said. "I know." He made it a toast. I did not tell him what to do. For years I would have offered 3 gentle options before he had time to feel his own answer. This time I drank my coffee. "If I pull it," he said, "Evan will say you recruited me." Probably. "If I leave it in, he'll play me telling Denise to get over it." Probably. He looked at me. "You're not much help today." "I'm trying something new." That earned a real laugh. Marcus sent his complete message to Leah himself. Under it he wrote, "Ruth did not ask me to withdraw. I heard the short version, and I am withdrawing it." Then he called Evan. I did not hear that conversation, and Marcus never gave me a transcript. He told me only that Evan accused him of joining a campaign, and that Marcus answered, "Listening to my own voice is not a campaign." Mine might have been dismissed as one poor decision. Marcus's could not. Worse, the sentence Leah had written to introduce his clip now looked false. Her transition said, "Even the hardest year gave the family something to laugh about." Marcus had said the opposite. The hard sentence had to come first. Leah paused the assembly. She told Evan she needed the full submissions and the exact invitation he had sent each person. He resisted both requests. He reminded her that she had volunteered, that Saturday was close, and that everyone would blame her if there was nothing to play. The pause changed more than her schedule. It changed who had to answer whom. Until that moment, every question had traveled through Evan. Leah asked him what a contributor intended. He told her. A contributor asked him how the program would be used. He told that person something slightly different. The system worked as long as nobody stood beside his answer and compared it with another. Once Leah stopped assembling, she called Joan directly. "Did Denise ask for your snowstorm story?" she asked. "No. Evan said Denise wanted memories about people showing up." "Did he tell you it would be part of a program about forgiving him?" Joan said no. Joan asked Leah to hold her recording out until she could speak with Denise. Leah called Paul next. He had been told the evening would honor our parents and make the family laugh. He did not withdraw his boat trailer story. He did ask that it be kept away from any introduction about reconciliation. "Dad hitting a hedge does not mean Denise forgave anybody," he said. Longer clips would not solve the problem. The frame itself was making claims the speakers had not chosen. When she called the uncle who later kept his message in, he told her he did believe Denise should move on. "Then I can label that as your opinion?" Leah asked. "Yes." "Not the family's?" He grumbled, but he said yes again. The calls did not produce agreement. They produced ownership. By the end of the evening, Leah had one withdrawn recording, one restricted to a comic section, one clearly personal opinion, and my written refusal. The smooth program on her screen no longer matched the choices of the people inside it. "I'm not canceling it," she told me that evening. "I'm checking it." I had hoped she would stop. Instead, she had begun calling the people whose voices sat inside the program. She also found a line in her own transition script that she could not support. Evan had written it for her. "Denise asked us to remember what matters most." "Did Denise ask that?" Leah said. "Ask Denise." "I don't have her number." "Ask Evan for it, or ask Joan to pass yours to her." "You could just tell me." "I could, but then you would still be hearing Denise through somebody else." Leah was quiet. "You really are done translating," she said. "I'm trying to be." The following morning, Evan asked me to meet him at Lou's Diner. We chose a booth near the back before the lunch crowd. He arrived 10 minutes late and slid into the seat opposite me without taking off his jacket. He looked exhausted. I had expected anger, and the exhaustion made it harder to keep my own feelings simple. Evan had been a tender child. When he was 9, he once spent an hour moving worms off a sidewalk after rain. When he was 20, he drove through the night because Marcus was stranded outside St. Louis. Kindness was not foreign to him. Neither was fear. He feared being the last person in a room to know what everyone thought of him. So he tried to get there first and arrange the chairs. "Leah froze the project," he said. "She said she paused it." "Same result?" "Not necessarily." You know what Mom is like when she decides a fact matters more than a person. "What fact is she wrong about?" He looked toward the front window. "I apologized." "When?" "Not in one formal message. I called. I checked on her. I sent flowers." "Did you tell her what you were apologizing for?" "She knew." "Did you tell Marcus and Joan that she rejected an apology?" His jaw tightened. "I told them I tried." "Did you tell them she refused to hear you?" "She refused to move on." It took nearly 20 minutes before he answered the question beneath all the others. He had never sent the apology he described. After missing the birthday dinner, he left Denise a message saying he was overwhelmed and would make it up to her. When relatives asked why she was still distant, he said he had apologized and she would not accept it. That version protected him from admitting he had never named the hurt. Once he told it, every new conversation became harder. A direct apology would have revealed not only the first failure, but the story he built afterward. "So you made the program," I said. I wanted her to hear that everyone else was past it. The sentence sat between us. Everyone else was never in it, I said. They are now. She made sure of that. You asked them to record forgiveness without telling them that was what you wanted. I asked them to talk about family. Then you removed the parts that did not say what you needed. He pressed his palms against the table. What do you want me to do, Aunt Ruth? Stand up Saturday and let 20 people watch me beg? No, that surprised him. I want you to answer your mother directly. Saturday does not have to be about that at all. She won't believe me. That may be true. Then what is the point? The point is that your answer belongs in your voice, even if it does not purchase the response you want. He looked at me as if I had removed the only bridge he could see. I felt compassion for him. I also understood that compassion could not make his bridge safe for everyone else. Could we revise it? He asked. Put your condition back. Put Marcus's whole thing back. Take out the line about Mom asking for it. My message stays out. Even if I fix it? Yes. Why? Because I no longer want my voice used to move Denise toward you. He leaned back. So you're punishing me. I'm removing myself from the job. He left money for coffee neither of us had finished and walked out before me. I left the diner knowing why he had built the tribute. He wanted the sound of a family already healed because he could not bear the uncertainty of asking one person whether repair was still possible. By Thursday evening, he had made the program softer without making it honest. On Thursday evening, Leah invited me to the community room for a sound check. Evan had supplied a revised version. My clip was gone. Marcus's warning was longer. The sentence claiming Denise requested the program had been removed. For the first minute, I thought perhaps he had accepted the limit. Then Leah played the ending. One relative said families survive mistakes. Another said love should be larger than one bad year. Joan thanked Denise for driving through the snowstorm. Marcus's voice said, "Someday we can laugh about it." The pauses were gentle. The music under them was soft. Nothing in any single line was false. Together they still said Denise had been forgiven on everyone's behalf and ought to forgive in return. Evan had removed the obvious cuts and preserved the conclusion. "That is not my full line," Marcus said from Leah's phone. He had joined by speaker because he was working late. "It's more of it," Evan said. "You left out the reason I said someday." "We cannot include every qualification." Leah stopped the playback. "What will people hear us mean?" she asked. It was my question, but it sounded different in her voice because she had made it hers. Evan rubbed his forehead. "They'll hear that this family loves Denise." "Will they hear that she asked for this?" "No, we took that out." "Will they hear that the contributors have forgiven you?" "This is not a trial. That wasn't my question." For the first time, Leah was not defending the quality of her work. She was deciding whether the work should carry a message its speakers had not chosen. She closed the laptop. "I'm sending every person the part with their voice," she said. "They can say yes, no, or speak live. I won't assume." Evan turned to me. "This is what you wanted. I wanted my voice out. You knew this would happen." "No." Leah decided what she would do after she heard the originals. Leah opened the laptop again, but she did not resume the playback. She began separating the contributions so each person could hear a complete excerpt in context. I did not stay to watch her make the calls. Friday became a day of different answers. Marcus withdrew his recording, but said he would come and tell one story live. Joan withdrew the snowstorm memory because she wanted to give it to Denise privately. Our cousin Paul approved his harmless story about the boat trailer and said he did not care what else happened. His wife Elaine decided to stay home because she did not want another conversation about Evan and Denise. Two relatives asked whether the whole gathering should be canceled. Leah told them the room was reserved and people could still share memories. She did not promise a montage. One uncle complained that everyone was becoming too sensitive about harmless words. Marcus told him he could leave his own message in if he wished. The uncle did. The family did not become a clean chorus on my side. That mattered. If everyone had agreed the instant they heard my concern, we would only have traded Evan's arranged unity for mine. There was no shared verdict. Each person had to own a choice. That difference tested me too. Joan called after speaking to Denise and wanted to tell me every word. "Did Denise say I could hear it?" I asked. "She didn't say I couldn't." 6 months earlier, that would have been enough for me. I would have listened, sorted the sharp parts from the tender ones, and prepared a version Evan might survive. "Then keep it between you unless she says otherwise," I told Joan. Joan was quiet for a moment. "I thought you'd want to know." "I do want to know. That doesn't make it mine." She accepted that more easily than I did. When the call ended, I sat at my kitchen table with the old restless feeling that came whenever a family conversation continued beyond my hearing. I had mistaken access for usefulness for so long that privacy felt almost like exclusion. Because I stayed out of it, Joan sent Denise a note in her own words. She apologized for assuming the tribute had Denise's blessing and asked whether the snowstorm memory still felt welcome. Denise answered her, not me. Joan withdrew the recording from the public program and kept the memory inside the relationship where it belonged. Denise remained at home. Joan passed Leah's number to her, and Denise sent Leah one short message for use only if the program tried to speak for her. Leah did not tell me what it said. "Will you play the montage?" I asked her Friday night. "I'll bring the laptop." That wasn't my question. "I know." She would not answer. I went to bed knowing the laptop would be in the room Saturday and not knowing what Leah intended to do with it. Saturday evening, the Fairhaven community room smelled faintly of floor polish and the coffee someone had started too early. Folding chairs faced a white wall. A small speaker sat on a table beside Leah's laptop. Evan had placed old family photographs on the windowsills. I recognized my parents outside their first apartment. Marcus in a graduation gown, Denise holding Evan as a baby. They were ordinary photographs, not evidence of any verdict. I was glad of that. Marcus came in carrying his phone but kept it in his pocket. Joan sat near the back. Paul and Elaine's empty chair remained empty because Paul had come alone. People spoke softly, watching one another for clues. Leah arrived last with the laptop under one arm. Evan relaxed when he saw it. That told me he had mistaken her attendance for agreement. He welcomed everyone and thanked them for trusting him with their memories. He said the year had been difficult, but the evening would remind us what no disagreement could erase. Then he nodded to Leah. Before she touched the laptop, I stood. My heart was beating hard enough to make my voice feel thin. I had imagined giving a careful explanation. I had imagined playing both versions and making every person hear the cut. But the people whose messages mattered had already received them. A public demonstration would turn a boundary into a prosecution. "My recording is not part of the program," I said. "I withdrew it because the short version changed what I meant." Evan looked down. I sat. Silence filled the room. It was the kind I had spent years rescuing. This time I let it stand. Evan looked at Leah. "Go ahead." Leah placed both hands on the table. "I can't play the montage," she said. Evan blinked. "We fixed it." "We changed it. We did not get clear permission for what the arrangement says. Everyone sent these willingly. They sent separate memories for different reasons. You're embarrassing me in front of my family." Leah's face tightened, but she did not look away. "I helped build something that made separate voices sound like one answer," she said. "I won't be the person who presses play on it." She closed the file. Then she unplugged the speaker. It was not a dramatic sound. A soft click. Nothing more. The room stayed quiet. The prepared program no longer had an operator. The relatives who had withdrawn were not trapped inside it. Evan could still possess a copy somewhere. None of us pretended a click erased every file. What he lost was the family's attention and Leah's participation. Leah looked around the chairs. If anyone wants to tell a memory in their own words, we can still listen. Marcus stood first. He did not play his recording. He told the story of our father backing the boat trailer into the hedge. Everyone laughed, including Evan. Then Marcus waited until the laughter settled. The rest of what I said was that we cannot skip a hard sentence and call the silence peace, he said. That part still stands. Evan started to answer. Marcus raised one hand. I'm not debating it tonight. I came to say my own piece. Then he picked up his coat and left, just as he had planned. Joan spoke next. She did not tell the snowstorm story. She said she had sent it to Denise privately because gratitude was not a ballot. Paul told the boat story from his point of view and corrected 3 of Marcus's details. The uncle who had kept his message approved repeated his belief that family ought to move on. No one stopped him. The room became less polished and more truthful. People disagreed in complete sentences. Evan sat beside the silent speaker. After 4 people had spoken, Leah looked at her phone. Denise sent something, she said. She gave permission for me to play it only if the program was used to speak for her. I think she should decide whether it is still needed. She called Denise. We heard only Leah's side. The montage was not played, Leah said. People are speaking for themselves. She listened. Yes, I can do that. Leah set her phone on the table and played Denise's message. Evan, I did not ask for this gathering, and I did not ask anyone to forgive you for me. I asked you to tell me directly whether you said I rejected an apology you never sent. I will listen when you can answer that question without editing, summarizing, or recruiting anybody else. Until then, please let my no be a complete sentence. The message ended. Nobody applauded. I was grateful. Evan looked at me. What does she want me to say? There it was, the old invitation. Translate her, soften this, give me the sentence that will work. She told you, I said. You know what she means. Yes, and so do you. He looked angry then, but underneath the anger I saw the same fear I had seen at the diner. If he spoke plainly, he could no longer control what his honesty purchased. I did not take that fear away from him. The gathering ended without a group photograph. Some people hugged Evan, some left after a quick goodbye. Joan stayed to stack chairs. Leah put the laptop in its case and told each contributor she would not keep a project copy for future playback. She did not claim she could erase whatever Evan retained. She only withdrew her work and her hands. Evan did not lose his job, his home, or his family. No one demanded that. He lost the program he had promised, and he lost the convenient role of telling us what everyone else meant. That consequence became visible over the next few weeks. Marcus stopped asking Evan whether Denise planned to attend events. He called Denise. Joan stopped asking me whether Evan was truly sorry. She called Evan. When Paul wanted to invite both of them to a cookout, he sent 2 messages and accepted 2 separate answers. The first few times, relatives still came to me. What did Denise mean by limited contact? One cousin asked. Ask Denise. Do you think Evan understands? Ask Evan. The answers felt rude in my mouth. I had spent decades believing kindness meant giving people a softer route to one another. Now I was learning that the softer route often ran over the same person every time. The new habit failed twice before it held. The first time, Marcus called and asked whether Denise would be offended if he invited Evan to Sunday lunch. Without thinking, I said, she'll understand. The old answer came out warm and automatic. After we hung up, I called him back. I answered for Denise again. I said, invite the people you want to invite, then ask each of them. Marcus sighed. This direct contact plan creates a lot of calls. It does. All right. He called Denise. She said she would rather come another week. He called Evan. Evan came Sunday. No one used Denise's absence as a message. The second failure was quieter. Joan asked me whether Evan's long apology sounded sincere. I had read it because he copied me, and I had an opinion. I began to say that he sounded frightened. Then I stopped. "He may be sincere and still not have answered her," I said, "but you should ask him what he meant." Joan did. Evan told her he wanted Denise to know how much pressure he had been under. Joan asked whether he had admitted the apology story was false. He said he was working up to it. Joan stopped praising him for apologizing and told him she would listen when he reached the sentence he kept circling. Direct speech did not make us gentler every time. It made the cost of our choices visible to the person who made them. 6 days after the listening night, Evan sent Denise a long message. He copied me. The first paragraph said he was sorry. The next 4 explained his work stress, her tone, Marcus's influence, my interference, and the family's habit of expecting too much from him. Denise answered him directly. "I received this. It does not answer my question." She did not copy me. That small omission was part of the recovery. Evan called and asked whether I thought her response was fair. "It belongs to the conversation between you. You started this." I withdrew my voice. The rest started before that. He hung up. For nearly a month, he did not call again. The quiet hurt. Durable peace did not arrive as relief every morning. Sometimes it felt like I had taken a familiar family machine apart and left the pieces on the floor. Denise and I walked on Tuesday evenings. We talked about work at the library, the tomatoes failing in her side yard, and a mystery novel we both disliked. We did not make Evan the price of our closeness. Leah visited once with a pie from the grocery store and apologized for asking me to wait until the draft was finished. "I thought staying neutral meant finishing the task," she said. "What do you think now?" "Sometimes finishing is the choice. And sometimes stopping is," she smiled. "You still sound like a radio host." Occupational damage. She told me she had returned the submitted clips to the people who wanted them and removed her assembled version from the laptop she used that night. She did not ask Evan to prove what he had done with his files. Control of every copy had never been the point. The family had stopped lending the montage authority. In October, I started a monthly listening circle in a side room at the library. It was not therapy, mediation, or a family project. 6 retired people and 2 night shift workers came the first month. We chose a simple rule: speak in your own name and do not record the room. One man talked about learning to cook after his wife moved to another state. A woman described refusing to host Thanksgiving after 22 years. Nobody turned their stories into advice for someone who was absent. I liked leaving the room with every voice still belonging to its speaker. Our family gatherings changed in smaller ways. At Thanksgiving, Denise stayed home and called Marcus in the morning. Evan came for dessert. No one announced what either choice meant. At Christmas, Joan asked each person directly whether they wanted to join a gift exchange. The old group message would have been faster. The direct answers were cleaner. Evan and Denise exchanged short texts about practical things. He asked once whether she wanted him to bring over a box of books. She said no. He answered all right and did not send me a separate message asking what her no concealed. That was not reconciliation. It was changed behavior, and for a while it was enough. 9 months after the listening night, I was sitting on my porch early on a Sunday when Evan sent me a voice message. I almost put the phone down. Then I listened. He did not add music. He did not quote anybody else. "Aunt Ruth, I told Mom and the family that she rejected an apology. That was not true. I had not apologized for missing her dinner or for making her look cruel afterward. I built the recording because I wanted everyone else to push her past a question I was afraid to answer. I used your words and Marcus's words to do it. I am sorry. I sent this same message to Mom. I know she may not answer." There were pauses in it. He left them there. My old instinct rose before the message ended. I wanted to call Denise and tell her he sounded sincere. I wanted to explain how tired he sounded, how frightened, how much it might cost him to say those words. That would have been the old job wearing a new shirt. I sent Evan 4 words. I heard you. Thank you. I did not forward his message. I did not summarize it for Denise. I did not ask whether she planned to answer. Later that morning, she texted me about our walk. She said the heat would be worse by evening and asked if we could go at 7. I said yes. Whether she answered her son belonged to her. Whether he continued speaking honestly belonged to him. I could love them both without carrying either voice across the distance. I set my phone beside my chair and returned to the quiet of my own morning. For the first time in years, the family did not sound whole. It sounded true.